I say to all of you viewers of Equinoxe Television, it's 6 p.m. by City Clock. We thank you so much for joining us on this edition of the news. Our Majesties right away, the Ngon Festival of the Bamum community of the Nous division of the West region of Cameroon has been recognized as a UNESCO cultural heritage. It was in a huge, colorful ceremony which was attended recently by the Sultan of the Bamums, Farifum Bombundam Joya. We will be coming to the highlights of that international cultural event in this edition of the news. Plus, it is exactly 2 months since bloody confrontations resumed in the Gaza Strip between Israeli and Palestinian forces. A reporter will tell us more on that conflict, which has already cost the lives of over 20,000 people. Viewers, those are our major stories. Details when we come back. Welcome back, viewers. Thank you so much for the confidence. We begin this edition of the news in the north or far north region of Cameroon. The population of Mokolo in that part of the national territory say they can now breathe a sigh of relief. Their expressions follow the arrest of a gang of 8 suspected bandits in the divisional headquarters. They had been terrorizing the local population for some time now. As for me, Armstrong Sander tells us in the report which comes up next.
The gang of 8 accused bandits were arrested and presented to the population by the Public Security Police units of Mokolo in the Mayochanaga division of the Far North region of Cameroon. Presented as being responsible for the multiple cases of theft, burglary and aggressions in the area, the police says the individuals were arrested in possession of a lady's bike, 2 gas bottles, 2 wheelbarrows, 3 TV sets, motor pumps, electronic materials and many other household materials, equipment and utensils.
Il a recruté les jeunes, vous les avez vus à l'extérieur.
The commissioner of the Mokolo Public Security Police Unit says the gang had as mastermind a 27-year-old detainee at the Mokolo Principal Prison, whose name we got as Boni Sawalda.
C'est pendant 16 heures de corvée qu'ils ventilent au butin.
Same police sources say that the gang of 8 had their way by alternating their modes of operation, switching tactics after every operation.
Il y a un étudiant parmi eux, nommé Zraputo.
Another peculiarity was the presence of a Marwa University student among the gang of 8.
Qui est le relais, n'est-ce pas, du chef de gang qui est en prison.
A veritable thorn in the flesh of the local population, who wasted no time to celebrate the forces of law and order for the important arrest. His Majesty Abdulaziz Baldina, the quarter head of Ancien Sonne Mokolo, says the area became almost unruly because of the activities of the men of the underworld.
Pour tous les bravoures qu'ils ont eu à amener.
Like him, the senior divisional officer for the Mayochanaga division saluted the bravo of the police forces while calling on the population for maximum collaboration.
And now we talk education, public opinion. Some of them have it that the quality of universities in Cameroon or the quality of education in state universities in Cameroon and even in some high schools is relatively low. Our reporter Innocent Azza spoke with an educationist. Let's now have his viewpoint in this report.
For ranking of water universities by Times Higher Education and AIDS Scientific Index based on several criteria, rank Cameroon best university of Chang between position 2,900 and 3,050. Though this is not too bad to Dr. Nick Ngwanyam, an educationist, some reasons explain this.
For the last 60 years, our education in Cameroon has been messed up big time. A lot of countries who put up universities knew exactly why they put the universities. They understood what the children or the graduates would be doing to their economy and to their development on graduation. But our own universities, we didn't define that. And we put our education on the wrong horse. We were riding the wrong horse. If we were to do an honest review of how useful our education is in Cameroon to our development, to our economy, we'll be ranked very poorly.
We also sought to know if this position renders a Cameroonian diploma inferior in foreign countries better ranked.
All those that have left our university and gone to the States, how many of them are in professional settings? Like we said, there are some very sharp ones in some key areas. They go and they retool. That means they go back to school and learn to get some useful skills and enter the system.
Dr. Nick thinks such rankings are good for the nation, which instigates government authorities to take actions to better off.
I understand there were about 18 criteria they were looking at. On my fingertips, I think we can remember a few. One of them that stands out is research. And then your environment, the quality of the teaching. We are talking about research. Go to your university and check and find out how many have laboratories. So what kind of research are you talking about? When we are talking about environment, we are talking about a green environment which is welcoming. We are not talking about a haunting ground. So we need to sit up and stop deceiving ourselves. The good news and the good thing is the President Paul Biya has taken that into account, and in the new Cameroon, starting with the new government, a lot of that rubbish will be corrected.
Dr. Nick stresses it is possible for a Cameroonian university to be ranked among the first 10, provided the educational system in Cameroon is revised and given prestige.
And now in this other except, Dr. Nick Nguyen, who is an educationist and also a university professor, says a lot is still to be done to improve on the pedagogy of state universities in Cameroon. Once again, let's listen to him.
We need to understand these principles and work with them and help ourselves. We have not been helping ourselves at all. But we go to school and we are studying subjects, standalone subjects. They are not good enough. You have to study in a way that you can solve problems. And I bet you, if we were to change our education and do the right thing, we'll be able to create 2 million jobs. I said 2 million jobs for youth in Cameroon every 2 years, just because we changed our education. We provided the children what they really need to solve problems. We gave them all the tools, and they'll be able to solve our problems. So if we have a lot of youths on the street go around with knives and harassing people, don't use a Molinex on them. If you are using a Molinex on your population, it's a sign of massive failure on your part, on the part of the government, on what you have been doing. How have you been nurturing your people? If all that the government has is a cane, a gun, a prison, running after people, locking them up, killing some, that is not it. If your children are rebelling or something is going on, there is an underlying problem. Solve it. And if you want me to tell you what the problem is the failed education. The problem is the failed education, the extent that the professors who are teaching the children also don't even understand where the problem is. The people who are running the government don't even understand where the problem is. So we all need to step back and see where we tripped and fell over and correct that. Otherwise, we are running the wrong race. When people don't have when people don't have food to eat, don't have a place to stay, cannot get married, and so on and so forth, and solve their problems, the society becomes very violent. Instead of training more Yanams and police, find out what you can do to feed your people. Thank you.
And now we talk something else. We told you in the headlines, viewers, that Cameroon's Gone Festival of the Bamon community of the Nous division of the West region of Cameroon, practiced since the 14th century, has been officially recognized as an intangible heritage of humanity by UNESCO. This traditional gathering becomes the first national intangible element to be inscribed on the prestigious representative list of UNESCO. This was validated during the 18th session of the Intergovernmental Committee for the Safeguarding of the Intangible Cultural Heritage that held in Kasane, Botswana. Let's now have more with Innocent Aze.
It was on Wednesday, December 6, that the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, officially inscribed the Ngwon Festival of the Bamon people as an intangible cultural heritage of humanity, marking a significant milestone for Cameroon's cultural heritage. The Ngwon becomes the first national intangible element to be inscribed on the prestigious representative list. It happens after it failed to secure UNESCO recognition in 2020.
À ce sujet, le deuxième dossier technique.
In March 2022, a revised nomination file titled Ngun Rituals of Governance and Associated Expressions in the Bamum Community was submitted, ultimately leading to this historic achievement. The second file contains important aspects of the Ngun, like socio-economic projects and the fight against HIV and AIDS. It also presented the implication, interaction, and actualization of the Ngun since over 600 years, adapted to socio-economic issues. Again, the Sultan judged the Ngun to promote governance, democracy, and freedom.
Il a été conforme aux desiderata des populations.
Inclusion on the representative list provides the Ngun Festival with the global platform, showcasing Cameroon's rich cultural diversity and fostering increased awareness and appreciation for this unique tradition. This recognition will have triple importance: projection of Cameroon's rich cultural values, decorate the Bamum people with the crown of pride, and Pan-African, since it will permit pre-colonial Africa to reign.
Avec une civilisation qui s'est révélée au monde.
The recognition underscores the significance of intangible cultural heritage defined by the 2023 UNESCO Convention as the practice, representations, expressions, knowledge, and know-how that communities recognize as part of their cultural heritage.
We will shall be coming with details on this Pride of Cameroon, which is the Ngun Festival, that would be in our subsequent news editions. Now, the G5 Sahel Anti-Terrorist Union of countries of the Sahel region is at the verge of collapsing somehow. It is said to have failed to fight insecurity in the region, leading to the withdrawal of some member countries. Countries that have withdrawn also point to manipulation of the organization by some foreign powers. Babila Jonathan with the details.
The two remaining members of West Africa's G5 Sahel Alliance, Chad and Mauritania, say they are paving the way to dissolving the anti-jihadist grouping. This comes on the heels of the withdrawal of Burkina Faso and Niger. A statement released by the Chadian and Mauritanian officials said the two nations take note and respect the sovereign decision made by Burkina Faso and Niger to leave the alliance following the footsteps of Mali. Supported by France, the G5 Sahel, which included Mauritania, Burkina Faso, Chad, Mali and Niger, was created in 2014 with an anti-jihadist force added in 2017. Chad and Mauritania said they will implement all necessary measures in accordance with the G5 founding convention, notably Article 20, which says the alliance can be dissolved at the request of at least 3 member states. While announcing their withdrawal on Saturday, Burkinabe and Niger military officials said the G5 Sahel had failed in its mission of security and development, but was rather serving foreign interests. They added that it did not respect the two countries' desire for greater independence. The call for its dissolution was not explicitly expressed, but the fate of the grouping had seemed sealed even before Mali's junta announced it was quitting in 2022. The joint military force has achieved meager results on the ground. Few joint G5 operations have actually been carried out, and the region's security situation has continued to deteriorate. Violence has spread across West Africa, and thousands of civilians and fighters have been killed, while millions of people displaced from their homes.
And back to this national news segment, custodians of the Long Nanga clan in the Nkam division of the littoral region have expressed indignation over government's decision claiming ownership of their over 68,000 hectares of land. They say though they had been chased out of that piece of land 60 years ago, the land still belongs to them. Lucy Liengu is here, tells us more.
Natives of the Long Nanga clan in the Nkam division decry what they term as injustice on the part of the government. They say the government is trying to seize their land.
A part of the country that has been scattered by the government decision, who asked people to go out, to leave. People left. in more than 60 years. 60 years, not 60. So now they want to, as if there's nobody there. Okay, yes, the land no belong to anyone. The government want to take it back. I say no.
60 years ago, most of the indigenes of Nonanga had been chased out of their village by the former administration.
He wrote at the request of the government a decision telling the Banyan people of Lugnanga and other cantons around to leave the area so that those who will remain, the government will know that they are the warriors, they are the fighters. So the population left, and orally, the promise that was made to them is to bring them back after 6 months, having made the roads and the infrastructure to welcome them.
The government is claiming 68,385 hectares of their land as its private domain.
When I talk about decision, it's the decree that was signed recently telling that this area now is inside the private estate of the government, creating what we call in French UFA 07006.
But the people say they will never let go because most of their family members were buried here and they are the custodians.
Nos terres ancestrales, nous n'allons pas cesser de les revendiquer et de dénoncer.
Other natives out of the village are expected to return so as to join the struggle to recover the hectare of land.
Now, a sports consultant and a former referee has said the delay by the members of the Homologation and Disciplinary Commission of FECAFOOT, the Cameroon Football Federation, to publish decisions doesn't have an impact on sanctions. Serge Kandem Kwam says the club sanctioned can mention the delays in the appeal. Smart Jikan Gibril reports.
Homologation and Disciplinary Commission of FECAFOOT published their verdict on some matches which had problems during the first phase of the Elite One League. Sad enough, these decisions came out late. Because they used more than 2 weeks to render their decision doesn't mean you have won. You make mention of that in your appeal if what you experienced was harsh, but never will a decision be cancelled because the 14-day deadline wasn't respected. If you don't appeal after the 5 days, then automatically the decision taken by the Homologation Commission holds its grounds. Victoria United was one of the most touched clubs as they lost points in the course of their homologation. But can Victoria United appeal, saying the Homologation Commission didn't respect the time frame? It's true that FECAFOOT statutes talked of 14 days for the Homologation Commission to render its verdict. We have passed the number of days, but what you will notice is that they don't have any sanction. So even if they render their decision late or respect the time, the complainant say the time frame wasn't respected, the person complaining won't be considered. He can only mention it in writing if the decision didn't favor them. Generally, the football stakeholder had a positive appraisal of the decisions from the commission. My impression about the outing of the Homologation and Disciplinary Commission on matches with hitches are good because it wasn't professional to start the second phase of the league without matches being homologated. It came late, but it's better. According to FECAFOOT statutes, homologation of matches are supposed to be done 2 weeks after the matches were played, but the commission used more than 1 month to publish their verdict.
And now on to this interesting piece. Before we take leave of you viewers, a 70-year-old woman has been credited with strength and resilience after she gave birth to twins at her age 70. The woman opted for in vitro fertilization in a hospital in Uganda. Immaculate Fogwe tells us that even the doctors who followed up the woman says it is exceptional.
She is the oldest woman in Africa to have given birth to twins, that is, a boy and a girl, after carrying out in vitro fertilization. 70-year-old Safina Namukwaya from Uganda set an African record by giving birth through a cesarean section at the neonatal intensive hospital. Medics say the story isn't just about medical advancement, but shows the strength and resilience of the human spirit. However, Dr. Ernest Guebel says IVF treatment should be discouraged for women above the age of 55.
Compliqué. Quand la ménopause arrive,
After hearing about this case, I really got scared given her age. It is very risky. What assured me was the fact that she didn't give birth normally. As a woman gets older, her uterus weighs out. Her case is even more complicated because here we are talking about twins. Even if it was her decision to carry out the procedure, I think her doctor should have advised her not to do so. The law needs to be respected. I encourage women to give birth when they are much younger. IVF is one of the many ways to help people with fertility problems to have a child. This involves combining sperms with eggs in a laboratory before placing the embryo in the uterus.
Exceptional indeed, encouraged to her. Viewers, that brings us to the end of this edition of the news. Thank you so much for always being there. Don't go away, our programs continue. Equinoxe Soir comes up at 7 p.m. and the news in the French language at 8 p.m. Stay with us on Equinoxe Television and see you again tomorrow, God willing. Bye-bye for now.